Hey guys, so this video is actually going to be a little different than the last one. I did talk a little bit about the mentality of white people as it pertains to slavery in the past and them still having it today. But this video is actually going to be a little bit different. It's going to offend some guys. Here's my thing. I don't get thrills out of going on a black men bashing crusade. I really don't. But there's so many things that just annoys me immensely about black men today. And this is obviously not all of them. It's not really any of them that I deal with personally, but it is a lot of them. And the thing that really boggles my mind is that despite the fact that many black women experience the same problem that I'm going to talk about in a little while, black men seem to want to, when you bring this issue up to them, then they want to say, oh, maybe the problem is just you, it's not all black men, and there's a small percentage of black men. No. A very large percentage, if not the vast majority of black men act in this manner that I'm going to describe to you. And a lot of you may not be familiar with the term of the plantation stud, but it seems as though a lot of our black men today have that same mentality. And it's just so interesting how, so many different factors of slavery and the aftermath of it could be affecting us today. But that is, and it's not funny, and I want to laugh because it's funny, but then it's really not funny because it's a lot of them really are acting like they're plantation studs. And so the plantation stud back in slavery was the younger black men that the slave owners would take, and they would have them go and have sex with multiple different women so that they could populate their plantation. So that dude was called a plantation stud. And that is why I feel like a lot of black men today, they have the mentality of the plantation stud. The only thing is they're not really getting any rewards out of it. Because during the slavery times, the plantation stud would actually be rewarded for going out and having sex with he would be forced to rape and have sex with multiple different black women. Because these aren't women that he was in relationships with. So that's why it's a little bit different today. Obviously, these men aren't actually raping these women, but during the back in the slavery days, they would basically take one younger black man, and then he would go out and have sex with multiple women. That's basically the premise of the plantation stud. This is a problem now because you have a generation of a bunch of black men that seem to think that this behavior is okay. Of course, they're not linking it to, the plantation days and being slaves and something that they were forced to do by white people, and now they're just kind of following that behavior, that pattern, and that stereotype. They're just connecting it to, okay, well, whatever, everyone likes us, we can get different types of women, so, let's give the average dude a pat on the back if he can go out and have unprotected sex with multiple different women, have kids by them, and then, blame it on the woman and say that she should have gotten an abortion. This mentality is extremely destructive. Not only is it unsanitary, but it's extremely destructive to the community. And that's why I'm sitting here and I'm talking about it today, because I actually had a conversation on Facebook in a group. Then I'm probably going to post this video on the group too, just to put my perspective out there, because I don't actually have the time to go back and forth on a thread with a dude about why it's not okay and why it's not a woman's fault that there's a high percentage of babies born out of wedlock. You have these idiots out here that it's really mind-boggling to me, actually. But the mentality of these men to where you think that it is okay for you as a man to go out and have sex with multiple women unprotected, get them pregnant, and then blame it on the woman because she didn't get an abortion. Let's break it down, number one, because I've had a lot of different dudes say, oh, there's 10% of the black men getting 40% of black women pregnant. That's a problem in and of itself. That's number one. But then let's break it down. Okay, let's say hypothetically that is the case, which I think is actually more than 10%, because this is an epidemic with black men, and that's why I'm doing this video, because it's a really big problem in the black community. The mentality that you can be a plantation stud and that that's an acceptable thing in society, when it's literally destroying our community, that's a problem. And if anything, it's when two people have sex and a child is conceived, you can't just blame it on the woman. She's not a tree. She's not a species of fish. So therefore, she cannot procreate on her own. A woman cannot. And this is for the men who seem to not understand their role in conceptions. Because apparently, a lot of black men seem to think that it's women's responsibility not only to monitor their own reproductive health, but to monitor black men's too. When the majority of them don't even have the decency to keep condoms on them. I'm not going to go over how many times I've been around a dude and had to supply condoms for him. I'm not even going to go there on that. The way that children are conceived is when two people, a man and a woman, have to together play equal part in having that child. So the woman therefore cannot sit there by herself and then she can't think, I want to be pregnant one day. Let me just fertilize these eggs. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't matter how much I want to have a baby. At the end of the day, I cannot have that child unless I go out and get a man to fertilize my eggs with his semen. And so therefore, he has to willingly put his semen inside of my body, because yes, my eggs and fallopian tubes are in my body. However, they're not self-fertilizing. So the only way that my eggs are going to be fertilized is if I go out and I get a man and I have him fertilize my eggs. It's not going to happen unless I do that. So that's number one. Number two, women are not out here raping men like that, okay? Most of the time, you guys don't want to wear a condom to begin with. So let's get that straight. You actually think it's okay to go have sex with multiple different women unprotected. Let's just say no baby is conceived. What about your health? There's a problem when you don't even think about your own health enough to wear a condom, because why do you think that you only need to prevent having a child? There's different diseases out there that you should be preventing having, but you really are only thinking in your mind that you need to prevent having a child, and most of you aren't even doing that. So obviously your methods are wrong. And then you want to tell a woman she needs to take her birth control when you're not taking yours. There's condoms out there. They're not made for women. They're made exclusively for men. So my question is to you men, why aren't you using your birth control? Because your birth control is simple and it actually doesn't have any side effects. There's a laundry list of side effects that are associated with a woman taking birth control. And for the idiot on Facebook, and I think that idiot knows who he is, and I'm not going to put his name out there. I don't know, and I don't care if he watched the video or not, but the bottom line is, this idiot dude told me there's little to no risk of taking birth control. As a man, how many times have you taken female birth control? Because I think that you don't know what you're talking about. There's a lot of risk associated with taking birth control. And it's not a law that says a woman has to take birth control. Birth control is optional. She can take it if she wants to prevent having a child. What if that woman wants a child? If that man doesn't want a child, then he needs to prevent getting her pregnant, as far as I'm concerned. So that's number one. Number two, these men are out here lying in these streets. So we're not going to sit here and act like men are approaching women and saying, hey, I have 5 other women that I'm having unprotected sex with. Do you want to be number 6? That's not happening. When women get in these situations, a lot of them oftentimes think they're in a committed relationship. They don't find out they're not in a committed relationship until later on down the road. Let's take an example. I don't know how many of y'all probably heard of, and you probably already have, the dude that was on Iyanla that had, how many kids did he have? Like, what, 30 or something? 34 kids by 17 different women? I actually watch all episodes of these shows. Some of the women knew about each other. Some of them didn't until they actually got on that show. So you can't assume that these women are getting in relationship with men knowing that he doesn't want to commit to them, knowing that he has a lot of different women. That's really not how it works. These men don't step on the scene saying, I have 6 and 7 different women and I want you to be number 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever, I'm not going to commit to you. I'm just going to get you pregnant, and then I'm going to leave you as a single mom, because I don't have to take responsibility for a kid, because as far as I'm concerned, you have to get pregnant, so you need to use the birth control. That's a trifling, disgusting plantation stud mentality. It really is. It's just really disgusting and trifling. And until the man gets it in his head that either, number one, he needs to prevent himself from getting someone pregnant, or B, in the event that he does get someone pregnant, then he needs to have the mentality of, okay, I had this child, I contributed to this child, so regardless to whether it's convenient for me or not, I'm going to take care of my responsibility, because at the end of the day, it's not on the child, number one. Number two, you can't require a woman to go get a child sucked out of her body and risk not being able to have kids in the future just because it's inconvenient for you, when you could have wore a condom to begin with. And so why is it that you guys don't see anything wrong with this mentality that really is destroying our community? You can say it's on the woman, and yeah, there are some ratchet, trifling women that really just don't care who they have kids by, but there's a lot of men that's like that too. And if you're going to blame the woman, then you need to blame the man equally, because at the end of the day, she can't get pregnant without his contribution. It's not her responsibility to make sure that he's not getting people pregnant. He needs to do that if he doesn't want to have a bunch of kids. It's like, when are you guys going to take responsibility for your actions and stop blaming everything on the black women? You either want to be looked at as a man, or you want to be looked at as beneath a woman, and then in that case, then you need to step down. Because at this point, you want to say, oh, black women are too regressive. We're aggressive because you're weak. Somebody has to be aggressive in our community, and because you guys sure aren't. So you don't want to take responsibility for your actions. You don't want to. You don't want to man up. You want to sit here and be weak, and then you want to wonder why things are happening the way that they're happening. And no, I don't think all the world's problems is because of black men. I do not think that. I think there's a lot of black men that really do care about the community. I know there's a lot of black men who will not have sex if they don't have a condom around, because they are being responsible and they realize that they can get people pregnant. Apparently, unbeknownst to me, there's a lot of men out here running around having sex with literally no idea that they can get people pregnant or how to prevent one. And if that is what it is, then you just really don't need to have sex to begin with. Because not only are you going to be spreading your seed, but you're going to have a dirty dick and you're going to be spreading diseases as well. So, if you don't know how to not have a kid, then you just shouldn't be having sex. Don't have sex then. Either learn about how to prevent from having a kid, learn about how to manage your reproductive health, because that's not a woman's responsibility, it's yours. And any real man is going to sit there and take control of his reproductive health. He's not going to blame it on a black woman. And that's why I say there's so many, the amount of black men that are actually men and who can be called men is few and far in between, because you have a bunch of little boys, grown boys, that want to sit here and make excuses, but then you do have men out there that aren't getting women pregnant. They may want to be a man whore, and if you want to be a man whore, you want to have sex until your dick fall off, do it. But the bottom line of it is that you should do it honestly and you should do it responsibly. And don't spread babies or diseases. And then when you do get people pregnant, don't expect them to get an abortion, because that's not something that everyone wants to. People want to throw around abortion like it's the new condom, or the morning after pill like it's actually a safe method. And I love how a lot of these dudes are doing that. A lot of dudes want to tell a woman what she should put in her body with no idea of what that would actually do to her body. So I think that's really funny. And then you'll have dudes that want to sit here and they want to argue with you about something that they never use because it's a dude. It's like, you can't argue with me over birth control because you don't use it. It's insane. So yeah, it's a trifling mentality. And until black men get rid of that trifling mentality, we're going to keep having these problems. It's like, when are you going to grow up and act like a man? And don't expect people to treat you with any type of respect while you're out here making excuses about why you can't date your race, rage in a war and weave while you're getting killed left and right, talking about contacts and dumb stuff that really just don't matter. It's just standing in line for 10 years for Jordans that no one cares about. It's just like the stupidity just runs deep. And it's like, obviously it's not just a man. However, men are looked at, whether you like it or not, men are looked at as the leaders. So that's why I'm putting the responsibility on the man. Because the men in any community are the leaders. It doesn't matter if you want to be a leader or not. The bottom line is, at this point, we're coming to a time to where it's like, you either man up and be a leader or die. Those are your two options. And so when you want to sit here and say that I'm putting all the world's responsibilities on black men, I'm not putting them on black men. But what I'm saying is that black men are looked at as a leader and as a very strong presence, and that's why they're being squashed down the way they are. And until you guys realize that and stop fighting against it instead of playing into these dumb stereotypes, like you want to be a plantation stud and be like the biggest whore and be happy because you got 10 and 15 different women. Meanwhile, you still broke, you have no car, it's like you're bummy, but you want to be happy because you can go get 10 different ratchets that you can have sex with, as if it's hard to get a hood rat. You're not really doing anything special. These behaviors haven't improved the quality of your life. 9 times out of 10 is causing you some added drama, but you want to sit here and brag about getting hood rats as if that's actually an accomplishment that your average Joe can't do. Everyone can get a hood rat. So I can get hood rats if I wanted them, probably easier than your average guy could, truth be told. So my thing is why do you want to act like this behavior is acceptable, that this behavior is okay? At the end of the day, how is it improving the quality of your life? Okay, so you can brag because you have 6 different women and 5 STDs. Okay, so what does that do for you? The only thing that's doing is racking up you a bill at Planned Parenthood. So I don't understand why you guys don't realize this and then actually do something productive with your life. And don't sit here and blame black women for the amount of kids that's out of wedlock. Yes, every woman should be very careful of who they have children by. That's why I don't have any kids, because I'm not going to go just have kids with just anyone. However, when I do decide to have a kid, rest assured that I'm not going to have that kid. I can't. It's impossible for me to have that child without a black man or a man. And I'm going to say black man because I need to have a black child. So, but we do know I can't conceive a child without the help of a man. So when you guys start really acting smart and realizing your contribution to child conception, and then start acting accordingly, if you don't want to have a kid, using condoms, your method of birth control, and not putting it all on the woman, then we'll be in a better place. And until you guys do that, we're going to keep having mounting issues. We're never going to have the unity that we need, because we can't even agree that it takes 2 people to have a kid, when everyone knows that's how divided we are and how ridiculous this is. And so until this plantation stud mentality dies and people start acting like responsible men that can actually be leaders of a community, because it doesn't matter if you don't want to be a leader. Who cares? No one cares. The reason why you're being killed right now is because you haven't stepped up to be a leader. That's really what it is. If black men were acting like they were actually going to do something, I highly doubt you would have these white cops out here just boldly going around killing black men. They wouldn't be doing that. And the reason they wouldn't be doing that, because they would have to fear something. They would fear some kind of reprisal. But no one takes the black man seriously. They don't. And I don't care if you don't want to hear it. That's just really what it is. Who takes black men seriously? White people used to be afraid of black men, but they aren't anymore, because they see all these YouTube videos that you put on here talking about how you can't deal with black women, how weave is the downfall of the world, how you hate your own race, you want to coon, you want to do everything but what you should be doing to preserve your race. And that's why we are where we are right now. Yeah, it is a lot because of racism, but you could make racism and white supremacy a lot harder to succeed if you were actually standing up and being the man that you needed to be. Obviously, there's a lot of ratchet women, and that's for a completely different video. And the reason it's easier to make these videos about the men is because there's just so many things. Sadly, there's just so many things. I don't know any ratchet women. Okay, wait, maybe I know one. Okay, I know one or two. But not that I associate with like that. So I know far more trifling dudes. And there's literally way more. Okay, the bottom line is black men do way more than black women do. That's really what it is. They do way more to destroy the black community than black women do, from my perspective. So that's why when I get on here and do these videos, it is easy to hold black men accountable, because it's like they mean so much to the community and yet they're doing so much damage to it. Yes, women play a role in it, and they do play a very important role. But I really think, in terms of society's eyes and society's perception, men play a bigger, far more important role than women do. We live in a sexist society that values men over women. So it doesn't even matter what I think personally. I could sit here and say black women are the most important things on the face of the earth, but the bottom line is that's not the case, because we live in a society that, for any group, holds men of more important to women. Although that's really stupid, because men couldn't even be here without women, but whatever. Bottom line is, black men play a very important role. I do not think that our community could be being destroyed the way that it is by white supremacy if they didn't have the majority of black men participating in it. And even if you don't think you're participating in it, you are participating in it. Because even if you're not doing anything about it, you're not trying to educate someone, you're not trying to do something to undo the damage done, then you're participating in it. And for the coons, you already know how you're participating in it. So the bottom line is, until you guys get it together, stop aspiring to just be a plantation stud that wants to lose his life over a pair of Jordans, when the owner of those Jordans don't care anything about you. It's not really improving your life. But until you get it together and get your priorities straight, and that priority be on self-preservation rather than being a hood rat, then we're going to continue to have these problems.